live now, just so that
Yeah,
people can
you
take a
could.
moment to get on.
Yeah.
Hey, so we're just setting up to go live, top of the hour. Hi, folks. It's Nicola
Hi,
here.
everybody.
And Teresa.
Good to see you.
And yeah, we'll just wait a moment. We've just come online a few minutes earlier than our time advertised just to get set up. Say hi. For those of you who are here early, I love you because I love early birds. I'm an early bird. And how about loving me back by pressing the like button so that we can get this new channel up and out there. We are a channel, for those of you who are new, that does tutorials on technical analysis for margin trading and spot trading cryptocurrency. We look at technical analysis. We give you scenarios that could affect price action, as well as doing the mindset piece. So it is top of the hour. Yay. So we can get started. Awesome. And if you are new, thanks for those that just liked. I'm going to say I love you again, but I don't think you can like us again. You have to wait till tomorrow. Normally, folks, we do a live stream on market analysis for the week every Wednesday at 11:30. Where are we? Mountain time. Teresa and I are in Costa Rica. However, if we have a look at this pattern here that we've got on the daily for Bitcoin, everybody is following this downward wedge, which could break to the upside. And in fact, we've got a candle breakup. Could also be a descending triangle, which breaks to the downside 80% more often than it breaks to the upside. So we're not out of the woods yet of potentially lower numbers, but we are looking more bullish than what have you. But what we want to talk about is Bitcoin price action, trading on the weekend, especially a Saturday, because sometimes on a Saturday we get a dump and sometimes we get a pump and other times we just get slow movement sideways. So we want to look, are we pumping or dumping as we speak? And we're going to look at Ethereum and XRP. And if you want to say hi, hey, thanks, Mark. Great to see you here again. If you want us to look at another coin that you are interested in, put it in the comment section now so I can get the charts up ready to go. So is there anything you want to say, Teresa, about the Conscious Crypto event that's coming up before we move on?
Oh, yeah. We are so excited we almost have all our speakers nailed down. We've got some awesome people speaking at this event. This is going to be a fundraiser for infrastructure projects in our community here in Costa Rica. So we're going to be building roads and commercial kitchen and water catchment areas. So we've got MMCrypto, DaVinci J15, Didi Taihutu just confirmed, Michael Rosmer, who's an international tax expert, just confirmed.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about this. I think it's not only going to be awesome for everyone attending, they're the people I want to learn from too. So yeah. I think it's going to be a fabulous event.
Absolutely. Early bird specials on now, so you can get $400 off your ticket if you buy now. It's in October, just as we're coming out of Saturn retrograde, where Teresa and I have been talking about potentially we could be going into a super cycle. So you could become a millionaire, multi-millionaire, and some people are even going to become billionaires. So the whole point of the 3 days together online on Zoom is to learn information from these traders on YouTube with a lot of information that they cannot pass on to you on YouTube. They have to hold that information back for a number of legal reasons, but they're going to be able to give you so much and get you with the right strategies going forward, so you could become one of those millionaires, multi-millionaires, or billionaires, just depending on where you're starting from, right? So your early bird special price runs out next week, so you're going to want to get in and get that locked in. We also have limited seats, obviously, because it's on Zoom. So as soon as the tickets are sold, and they're selling pretty well at the moment, then you won't be able to be part of that. So you want to be part of that if you want to make the most of that super cycle. So let's go back to Bitcoin and see, is there a trade? Trading on Saturday is, I think it's not for the faint at heart, because you can often get into a trade and it can do a U-turn. So you have to be very careful about that. So what I want to do today with you and with Teresa is give a big overview of where we could go bullish or bearish, so that when you're looking at the trades and where possibly to enter, you've got the information to make the decisions if we're not online or there's no other YouTuber online giving you direction, right? So here's the deal. We have been following this pink line here, which has been pretty well respected. I mean, you could draw it like this. Oops, what's going on here? We could do it like that, but it's still showing, like if we draw it like that with as many candles touching as possible, it is showing that we have broken out on the daily, which is really significant. And also, if we look at this as a descending triangle, as we mentioned before, we've also broken out of that. But I want you to look at this over here on another chart. And this is why if you're using TradingView, there's a link to TradingView by the below. And there's also a link to get your ticket for the Conscious Crypto event below as well, by the way. If you have a couple of charts for Bitcoin, this is what was alarming at the beginning of the week. On the weekly, we can see that Bitcoin bottom candles have not been touching or going below the EMA ribbon for the whole time we did this run until we had the big dump. We came into it, and even then we wicked down below, but we had been supported by the EMA doing lower lows for sure. So this was a bearish trend. But last week, we closed below the EMA, which put us all on alert that we could be going to lower numbers, so as down as far as 20,000, right? However, this week, we started low, and then we did not go below the 20, write this down, folks, 28,800 is the number that if we go below that, and we trade below that for 4 hours, that's when we could be playing out the bearish scenario. But look at this. This week's candle has just wicked up slightly above the price of the highest price of last week's candle. Not only that, on the CM Williams VIX Fix, we've got a green candle down here signifying the next week we could see upward price action. Okay, but this is what I want to look at. While everybody is looking at this pattern here, right, narrowing wedge that is descending, breaks to the upside, has actually already broken out. I'm just observing this as a potential. If we take the wicks into consideration, we've been getting higher lows, which is bullish. Let's say we touch the bottom of the candle. Let's do that. Yeah, because we want as many candles touching as possible. So that means we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's awesome. And then we do this, as many candles as we can touching. This is a symmetrical triangle, and we haven't broken out yet. Teresa, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, this is what we were talking about yesterday, right? We're often trading patterns within patterns. And even though some of the patterns are stronger, like the pattern we're all trading right now, really strong pattern, lots of touch points, but you never want to lose sight of the bigger pattern that we might be in, because you want to be paying attention to those lines. That might be where it turns around. And actually, I'm thinking, let's talk about minding the CME gap for a minute. Because if you're weekend trading, the number one habit you want to have is Friday night after the CME closes, go check the CME charts, find the closing price on the hourly chart, and put a horizontal line on your chart, mark it big and red. In fact, do you want me to show them how to do that really quick, Nicola, before we go into the detailed technical analysis? Or do you want to do that
it's okay.
next?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had the CME gap to talk about the CME gap a little later.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that one later. But always mark it on your charts, because those are the major lines to mind on the weekend. We've got a couple of requests for ETH too, so let's put ETH on the agenda.
Oh, we've definitely got ETH, darling. We are doing ETH next. So let's go through Bitcoin, because So this is what Teresa and I were talking about in yesterday's live stream. Even though we might not be treating this as a symmetrical triangle that could break down to the downside because it's a continuation pattern, we came into it from the upside and we came down into it. So theoretically, we could go down to 18,382, but on this channel, we're saying that's the theory. but we don't know if we're going to get there because we don't normally go lower than the last cycle top of the last bull run, which was in 2017, and we topped out at 19, I think it was 19,750, almost to 220,000, depending on what exchange you were at. So it's unlikely we would go, like below 20 if we go to the downside. Now I'm going to show you the bullish scenario, which is actually playing out right now, but we're just alarming you to the fact to don't get cocky, right? Just do not get cocky with this bull run because we're still in the territory. I think really until we get over 50, I would say 45,000 price for Bitcoin. We're not taking a dump in the lower price off the table just yet, although things are looking really bullish. So we could also break to the upside out of this triangle, which could actually happen today, in which case the top of that would be 47,840. So if you do end up longing this, and we'll talk about entry points in a moment, I would pull it back down to 47,178. There are going to be some resistances along the way where you might take profit and you might jump in and out of this trade depending on what your strategy is. But that is the big one to go for. Now it could be a little bit lower because if we break out down at the bottom at the pinnacle, which guess what, Teresa? Guess what date that takes us to?
I couldn't even begin. What is that? The Mercury retrograde progress?
The 2nd of August.
Oh, too funny.
Right?
Yeah.
So that we could break out to this at the 2nd of August. And if we break out in the 2nd of August, then we're looking at 46,000. Right?
Yeah.
So just make a note of those, write those down on your chart so that you know that those are potential points. Now, why I'm getting really excited about that is we could come back down to 32,000. The CME gap is around, could possibly be around there. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But the breakout, if we do the triangle this way, which is different from what everybody else is looking at right now, right? Everybody's looking at trading this and getting into this long. If this happens and we break out around about the 2nd of August, give or take a day or two, even a week, if you're following this channel, we talk about Saturn retrograde. Saturn is a planet that rules finance and career. And often when Saturn goes retrograde, we see a stock market crash or we see a dip in the market. And if you look at the bottom here, bottom left-hand corner of this purple chart for 2020 last year, we went retrograde and we got a dump. And then we traded sideways within a big range. Then when we came into June, we tightened that range. Then when we came into July, which is around here, we tightened that range even more. And then when we get to around about, I think this one here broke out at the end of July, 27th of July. This was last year. All of a sudden we started going up and then we did a very long extended Bart Simpson, right? Now I project this, if at the moment, see this fractal here on the left? We're following the same pattern. We came down, traded within a big range, up and down, tightened the range we traded in, going up and down even less, tightened the range even more. I mean, look at these green candles here. They're so tight. So it's kind of like winding up a spring, getting ready for it to just go boonch, right? So if we're going to follow exactly the Saturn retrograde pattern of last year, then I'm looking at approximately the date of where we're going to start going up out of the range that we have been trading in, i.e. above 42,000. Then I put that around about the 2nd of August, which is really interesting because the breakout of this symmetrical triangle is on the 2nd of August if we don't break out before, because often you can break out before we get to the pinnacle, and it could break out on the even on the 3rd all the way up to the 9th actually, right? So watch that, don't get cocky. So now let's look at what I actually mean by that in person, right? If we are in person, whatever I'm trying to say there, in detail. we come in and let's have a look at this pattern that everybody is looking at and trading. This was a breakout candle. We knew we were going bullish because on the weekly, we had week after week of green candles on the CM Williams. So we were well overdue for a swing to the upside, right? So this is bullish. This is looking really, really bullish. So then if we come down on the 4-hourly, this is showing that we have broken out, right? And we've broken out above the 100-day moving average, which is really bullish as well. See that there? We've got supported off it. We got rejected. So if you were wanting to long this, we've already got a long. Good time to have entered would have been 32,249, although not many people would have caught that because we would have been looking at this resistance line and going, you know what, we could get rejected and come back down. However, we didn't. We blasted through it, right? Significant resistance at 33,500 to 33,800, and we just blasted through it. We're now being supported by the 100-day moving average. Teresa, would you say we've confirmed this breakout on the 4-hourly? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 4-hour candles clearing the resistance line.
You know, that one's always debatable because normally a confirmation, you want to see it come right down to the line again and use what was resistance now as support. But the reality is there's so many different ways you can draw the lines right now because there's so many points of touch point that when you're that many candles beyond, it probably is a confirmation, but it's just not as pretty as we normally like to see. So we could see it come down to that line still. And what we want to see is it bounce off it.
Yeah. So here are the patterns that are showing up, right? Inverse head and shoulders. Broken out from that, never retested, just went straight up. And the 35,797 is the target. So if you were literally to jump into a long right now, which I wouldn't recommend until we put in the support lines, that is with 10x leverage, that's 40%. So that could possibly be worth it. But I just want to show you a few more things. If I take off the EMA ribbon and I put in the 4 EMA, I want to see confirmation from these indicators that we are bullish. And look at this right here on this red candle, the EMA ribbons. This is the 8, 13. What is 8-day, 13-day, 21-day, 55-day moving average. Right? When you have, this is a Crypto Jack strategy, by the way, so shout out to him. When you have blue, green, yellow, red descending with red at the bottom, that is an indication we've got a long that could last for a day or two. And look, we crossed right here, which was yesterday on this red candle. So if you caught that, because we talked about that a couple of
live streams ago.
Yesterday's live stream or the day before. Yeah. So you want to be subscribing to our live streams, guys, because we're using indicators that not many other traders out there are using to give us predictions of where we're going in the future. So if you had caught that, you could have entered along and already be in a substantial amount of profit right now. So if you're entering right now, we need to go to the hourly and have a look to see if there's any potential reversals. So we've got blue, green, yellow, red. So we're still bullish on the hourly. I'm going to turn that off and bring in the Ichimoku because we love the Ichimoku, right? The Ichimoku, see this green cloud here? That means flow. When we've got a red cloud, that's resistance. And we are above the Ichimoku. So that in and of itself is bullish. But I've changed the colors, by the way, Teresa, to be in line with mint so people weren't freaking out.
Yeah, nice.
Bottom line is the baseline, which is acting, these two lines are acting as support. So when the green line is above the red line, when the lagging span, which is this purple line, is above the green Ichimoku cloud, this is the time to enter a long. So the time to have entered the long, according to the Ichimoku strategy, would have been here, right there on this candle here. You could have entered it down here if you're a day trader specifically, and you've got that here where we cross right there, and already have been in that long, but there were other entry points, and so now we've got a potential. Yeah, we're still long. Now look at the incline on the Ichimoku. So the Ichimoku is showing how many hours ahead in front? Is it 21 hours?
16, I think.
16, sorry. Yeah, I don't know where I got 21 from. So 16 hours ahead, we're looking like we've got flow. So this is looking good. So now if you were to enter, you have to be careful, because if you look at the RSI, we're way over the top, right? We've been over the top for a while. And on the 1 hour, the RSI could travel along there for days without dropping. So you shouldn't just look at the RSI and go, oh, it's going to come down now, because it might not. We need to go to the 4 hourly, and we see that we're still overbought on the 4 hourly, right? So how come we're still going up? Well, if you go to the daily, we've got plenty of room to move up. We've plenty of room to go to the upside.
So well, and on the RSI on the daily, we've just been broken out of the trend line that has been holding for weeks and months.
Oh yeah, actually. let's do that.
So there was that downward sloping trend line, and we've just broken out of it in the last few days, which gives us a lot of upward momentum, right? That line has been holding on the RSI since back in the spring. Right?
Yeah, a lot of traders have
holding
been
since January.
Yeah. A lot of traders have been saying when we break to the upside above that trend line on the RSI, that's an indication that we're bullish. So even though I'm saying just be a little careful about this, right? We are, I would say, what, 95% bullish?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The ideal place to enter this long was at one of the two Ichimoku points, or when we bounced off the lower part of the wedge, just because there's so many market turnarounds happening in this market, right? So you just got to understand there's still room to play in the long we're in. However, the closer you are to the end of the target, the greater the risk gets, right? So if you were entering now, you'd want to be watching your trade pretty closely and really doing good risk management. I would probably do a smaller trade if I was entering sort of this late in the game, because you don't want to be jumping on a moving train, right? So it's just important to think about. I don't think we're at the point, though, where we aren't still going to turn around and come back down into the pattern. Personally, I'm waiting for the miners hash rate recapitulation for the confirmation of we're really going to go nuts in the bull run, right? And usually we get that buy signal on the miners hash rate recapitulation, and there's still another week or so of sideways action, and then the major bull action starts, right?
Yeah.
So I think what we're seeing right now is a bullish period in what is still a market correction, and I do think the price is going to turn around at some point. That's why you want to be minding the CME gap and minding the resistance lines as we're hitting them.
Yeah.
You could place a trade right now, but there is a little bit more risk in doing it at this point.
There is. If you wanted to place a trade right now, look, there's a support line at 32,917. So if we all of a sudden drop down, we could come back and retest that line and then bounce off of that. And when you get clear momentum going upwards, that's a good time to enter the trade, because it is a little bit too late to enter this trade. However, this is also a bear flag potentially forming,
Bull flag.
right?
Yeah.
So you could get in at the bottom of that if you go down to the 1 hour, because remember we have a reverse head and shoulders with a target of 35,802. So we could still be going up there very slowly today, and then we could even go all the way up to the bigger target of 38,765. But I do believe that at 36,000 we have a significant resistance level. So just mark those down. What I do when I go to enter, because I would look at this and go, okay, I'm a little late to the party on this one. I missed it. So let me see if I can still jump in hopes that we're going to go here. So if I go down to the 5 minute to see if there are any surprises on the Ichimoku cloud where we're seeing a potential downward trend, and for the next 15 minutes to an hour, we could possibly see further downward action, because whenever you see the Ichimoku cloud, whether it's green or red, level off like this, we can often see either a move dramatically away from it or a move down under it. Red's under green, so that means we are bullish. So if we come down, we might come back down to test this and see. So on the 5 minute, we are looking bullish and we're looking like we're going to flip up. But now I want to go down to the 1 minute to see minutely what could be happening. And you can see here the trajectory is a little bit more upward price action, and then a little bit more downward price action, and maybe even a little bit more coming back down to 34,214. So if we bounce off of that, then you could get in. And you can see how the candle just went up. See that trajectory? We might go up again with the peak. And then if it comes down, bounces off this line here at 34,304 to confirm this on the 1 minute as support, that's a possible entry point. However, we've got, see how the lagging span, not the lagging span, the baseline is above this green line. So it is a risk. So if you're going to do this because you don't want to miss out, you might only put in 2% or 5% of your trading portfolio for Bitcoin. And then if it really takes off, you can add to it just in case it reverses. And then if it reverses and then bounces off, you can add to it at a lower price point and average down your entry point. But right now on the one hourly, actually, let's go to the 30 minute.
That's not a bad strategy if you don't have a super solid entry point to just scale into the trade.
This is pretty clear that I think we're going up. We might, like in terms of an entry point, you want to get the lowest entry point possible with volume. And that's the biggest thing here is volume is starting to come in a little bit. It's not all green. There's a bit of red in there, so it's a bit dicey. But if you did want to take the risk, I would put in a really small amount, and then because these are big moves, because if this ends up being the big move and tomorrow is when it makes the big move, then you're going to kick yourself for not entering it. So that's when you put it in. You put it in a small amount, and then as soon as we move up a bit and you're above 10% in profit, you put in a break even, so that if we come back down, then you're not in trouble. And here is the reason why we still need to be cautious that we could come down to the downside, and this is a CME gap. Do you want to explain what the CME gap is for the newbies?
Yeah, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange is the biggest exchange in the world, and most of the institutional traders trade on the CME, right? So actually, let me share my screen for a minute.
Oh, okay.
And the one habit you want to be in on the weekend, I'm just going to quickly show you how to do it because I've had questions from people recently that they don't know how to do this. On your trading view, go find, here's the Bitcoin one, right? Bitcoin CME futures 1 hour CME, make that one of your favorites. And I also do the Ethereum one, right? Ethereum futures 1 hour CME. And I literally go in and I check what was the last price on the candle where it closed, right? So you can see here's the last candle, it was moving upward. So ETH closed at around 2040 and Bitcoin closed on the CME at around 32,460. So, give or take a few dollars. Then I go on to whatever platform I'm trading, right? And then I would find that price number. I usually put a horizontal line in the market. So 32,460 would be right about here, right? And then I actually label it. CME close. 32,460, whoops, 32,460. And then that way, that's a reminder to me. Sometimes I have ones marked on here too from before because we didn't close them. That one did close. I've just been lazy and didn't delete it, right? But you can actually, if we're a long way from it, you can actually mark that line in red make it easy to see, bold it if you want. But you don't want to lose sight of that, because see, look how far we've moved from that CME close, right? We're quite a ways. So tomorrow afternoon, you want to start paying attention, because odds are 90% that the CME gap will close within 12 hours. And most CME gaps close in the first 2 to 3 hours of the CME opening. That's the big traders bringing the price back so they can close all the trades that they had open on Friday afternoon, so they're not in a loss, right? The big boys, if they miss the boat, they bring the boat back, right? So just be aware of that. That's one of the reasons I think when we see good price rise on the weekend and there's a CME gap below us, odds are we're coming back down into the pattern, we're forming a bigger pattern, and we're going to actually see the price action retrace again. So there's still a trade to be had here, and there's probably a short to be had here too if we start bouncing off the upper resistance and don't break out of that. But always be in the habit of marking those on your chart, because you never want to lose sight of those on weekend trading.
Yeah, it's about 95%. It's about 95%, right? So this is the CME gaps that I've got here. And I just put in those prices that Teresa mentioned. So this is where Chicago Mercantile Exchange closed when the price was here. And then we're trading up above here, which means when we open, which is 4 o'clock US Mountain Time on Sunday, when we close there, I think that's 10 o'clock UTC time, something like that. When we open again, whatever the price of Bitcoin is, if it's higher than what it was on Friday, a gap is created, like Teresa was saying, and around about 95% of the time, we will come back down to close that gap on the day, if not on the day, by Wednesday, right? Now, if we don't close it, that's cool, because we've got these CME gaps that never got closed up here. 46,395. Write this down, folks. 48,935. Up here at 57,675, all the way up to 60,000. They never got closed. These CME gaps down here on the left never got closed. This is 18,100 to 19,360. Not likely to get closed. This one here, 24,940, that if we do go to lower prices under 28,800, like if we break 28,800 for several, 4-hour candles, we're probably going to come down and close the CME gap. But I'm just showing you, we don't always close it. And with the CM Williams showing all of these green candles, this might be a CME gap that we don't close, but you need to be aware of it, so that if you enter along today on the weekend when we have low volume and there's not volume pushing it up enough, it's just going up, quite slowly, just be aware that as we go into trading on the Sunday and we start on the exchange, you want to come over to your it's BTC1 over here on the right hand side, by the way. You want to come over to that chart and you want to see what happens and monitor that, and make sure that as Bitcoin is going up in your long, you might have a trailing stop loss. Or you might have a set stop loss to say, you know what, I don't mind closing out at 10% profit, whatever it is that you decide to do. So don't be being foolish by not putting in a stop loss and profit as we move away from the entry point of your long. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think the basic rule of thumbs are breakouts on the weekend often turn around again. Yeah. Like they often come back down in the pattern. First thing to know, right? So it's okay to trade them, but don't have the mindset of like, oh, I'm going to keep this trade open. This might be the one. Probably not. Odds are it's not. Okay, it's okay. It's still an awesome trade. Make great money at it. 5% of CME gaps never close. 90% of them close within 24 hours. 95% of them close by Wednesday. Right now, I'm giving you average numbers for all assets. Okay, these aren't the Bitcoin numbers, but most derivatives are in the same range. Okay, the majority of CME gaps close. So, and in fact, if you watch the chart Sunday afternoon, I would say probably the number is something like 60 to 70% close within 2 hours of the CME opening. So just, pay attention and
Yep.
pay attention to where the lines are.
Yep.
Lots of trades don't make their targets on the weekends, right? So
Well, in
that
this
doesn't mean
market
it's
in
not a
general,
solid,
right?
yeah, and in this market in general, but especially on the weekends. So
Yeah.
that's okay. You can still trade them, but just know it, if you're holding out for the target and you're not raising your stop loss up, you're probably going to lose money. So don't turn a
Yeah.
winning trade into a losing trade. Move your
Yeah.
stop loss and take
Yeah,
your
and
win.
if you hit resistance, like if we say, oh my goodness, we're hitting resistance, you want to watch really carefully. Like when this was happening, see this here? This to me started looking like a potential Bart Simpson because we went up. Oops. We went up, right, straight up, straight across almost. And that means that we could just as well come down, and that looks like Bart Simpson's head. So I was on high alert that this could dump down. But what happened was, as I looked at the CM, the CM Williams VIX Fix, I looked at the EM, the 4 EMA, I looked at the Ichimoku cloud, I looked at the gap between the red and the green here, the baseline and the conversion line of the Ichimoku, and I made a guesstimate and went, you know what? I think we're going to come down to about 33,800 maybe. Maybe a little lower. And I put in a trade, went to the farmer's market, came back, it fired up, and it's already in profit. So I moved my stop loss up to 5% in profit, which is around about break even for the amount of leverage I'm using, so that if we do come back down and do a correction, I can get in at a lower rate, because I did come in a little bit late to the party. But we have come out. We didn't break to the downside. We broke up. We had a pole, and then now this looks like we've got a bull pennant. So if you wanted to jump in, technically speaking, you want to wait till we get a breakout at around 34,524. So then now what we want to do is, okay, am I going to be okay? Let me have a look at Fibonacci support and resistance levels, right? So let's turn off the Ichimoku cloud. And you're going to want to put in, there's lots of different ways you can do the Fibonacci. I usually like to do it for the whole market itself. And I also like to do it for, so let me just go to the weekly, for the movement that we are in, so that I can get as many support and resistance lines as possible. So here's your Fibonacci retracement tool. We're going to go to swing high to low, where we started the bull run. Let's do it around about here. And then we come back down onto the daily, and I'm going to do another one. So you can see immediately the golden ratio here, which is a very significant number in Fibonacci, 41,222, possible rejection here, which we got rejected here. We touched it, got rejected, touched it, got rejected, touched it, and touched it again. So if we are going up, we might not reach the 43,700 target of the triangle here before hitting the Fibonacci and getting a bit of a significant retracement to get some momentum to go back up. So watch for that. So you might want to take some profit along the way. Definitely take some profit out at 36,600 in my opinion, because this is also a significant resistance line. Then we've got the inverse head and shoulders at 39,000, and then we've got the golden ratio at 41. So this is an instance where you might be taking some out, and as we retrace, just add to the trade, and you just keep the trade open that way.
Scaling in and out in a market like this is a great strategy, right? Like when we hit that little head and shoulders in the middle of the pattern, I scaled out of my trade. I thought, let me see what it's doing, right? And then it came back down and turned around again. So you can add a little more in, right? So it's okay to add and take as you go within the pattern if you're trading the smaller movements within the bigger pattern.
Yeah. So where are we? We're talking about, where we're going. And then just be aware that this pattern here that we showed right at the beginning is hitting resistance, right? it's already hit this resistance line. So we want to watch. I mean, if I was looking at entering into a trade, I would wait for another hour candle to see if we're going to get a red one going down and short it down to, down to the CME gap possibly, or double check that this is going to be a breakout, not a fake out, because at the moment it is looking like a breakout. But we're looking at the best entry point, right? We could come back down to 33,895. So this is one of the reasons why if you start small, 2% of your portfolio, and then if we break out, you could add more to it. But if we break to the downside, you could add more, bounce off of this line here, and you've now brought your average entry point low. That's a good strategy. The RSI is looking overbought on the 1 hour and the 4 hour, but we've got heaps of room to move on the 1 daily. So all things considered, just trade very, very carefully and consciously on a Saturday. Sometimes Ethereum leads the way.
I just want to say one more thing about Bitcoin too.
Okay.
I just want to create the distinction. When Nicholas says breakout, she just means it's breaking out of the pattern. Okay. And right now, there isn't the kind of volume we would want to see for a confirmed breakout that is really tradable. So just have that distinction in your mind. Every time you hear someone on YouTube say breakout, they don't necessarily mean go place a trade.
Yes.
Like, don't hear that. They're simply saying we're breaking out of the pattern. So this is where we want to be watching. Do we have enough tradable signals to enter a trade? And I think that's a super important distinction for people to keep in mind.
Yeah,
I don't know how many people that hear, MMCrypto Chris or Carl the Moon say we're breaking out, and they think that means go put a trade in. Oh my God, we're breaking out, right? So just keep that in mind. You want the confirmation signals, right?
Yeah.
We've got a fair number of them, but they're still low volume. So if you are trading it, watch it like a hawk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can trade it. Look down here on the left-hand side where I've circled, that's the kind of volume you want to see without the red candles, and it's trading a little under volume, which is very typical for the weekend. So we're not saying don't trade it. We're just saying trade it very, 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 very carefully and watch it. Don't walk away from it, and move your stop loss up into break even as quickly as you possibly can. And also, here's the one last thing on this. Because we've gone, look at this. We've gone up and up and up since the 20th of July. We've gone up and 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 up for 4 days without a significant retracement. So the higher we go without a little bit of a, like a 5% retracement or a 10% retracement, the larger that dump's going to be when it happens. So, get those stop losses in, and don't I wouldn't be using wide stop losses in this market anyway. So that's that. Sometimes Ethereum can lead the way, right? And we had some people wanting us to look at Ethereum. I am in an Ethereum long and have been since the beginning of this pattern here. Boom. We have been in a descending wedge for Ethereum, which, let me just take some noise out here for you. See this descending wedge here breaks to the upside more often than it breaks to the downside, and it's broken up. It's confirmed its breakout, and it's continuing to go up. Had a bit of a fake out here, had an M that didn't play out. It got stopped off at 2000, I think it was 2004, something like that. Nice support here, came back into the pattern in a bull flag, which is where we're at right now. And the target for this long is 2,407. You might want to put it down at 2,394.99, right? We'll look at entry in a moment, but that's the target. Now, if we squeeze this in, as I said, over the last couple of days, if we reach that target, we've created a big as W, hugely mungly, right? I know that's not a word, but you're going to learn I make words up.
Those are technical terms, big ass W and hugely mungly.
Hugely bigly.
Those are crypto ninja technical terms.
Yeah. This is absolutely gorgeous as a W if it fulfills. If we get to this 24,000 target, 2,400 target, we have created a W, and it's a beautiful one. It's a big one, and it's also got a higher low when it came down for the second bottom. So that's a very, very clear indication of a big market trend reversal. Right? So even though we're saying those lower numbers are still in play, we're not out of the woods yet, it's looking less likely that we're going to go down to those lower prices. Less and less likely, right? So we hit this target, we'll get a little bit of a retracement, right? Could even wick up to 24.53, come back down. That means we've now created a new bullish signal, and that target is all the way up at 3,135 approximately, but we've got the golden pocket at 2,900, so we're more than likely going to hit that and then come back down. And we also have significant resistance at 2,667. If you see here, we came down, bounced off of it several times, and then under here, came under it, and it acted as resistance. So we've got some, like, if we'll obviously we're going to be tracking this, so we'll come in and see what that trade is. But this is my strategy, and I'm not a financial advisor, so don't follow me, do your own research. But my strategy is to ride this all the way here, take 75% profit out, and then let it retrace back to where it wants to retrace, buy back in on the bounce when it comes back up, for when we're going to blast through here potentially and go to those higher prices, so that I've got a portion of that trade down here in the lows. Now, that may change, right? You've got to keep looking at market values and market trends and what have you, and adjust your strategy as you go. But that's kind of a strategy that I'm looking at. So if you want to get into this,
the CME gap.
mind the gap.
So mind the CME gap.
Nicola
and I have even laughed because a few times we've forgotten about the CME gap. We've been in trades, and then we're just like, why is it dumping all of a sudden? That makes no sense. And then we look at each other and go, oh my God,
CME
it's Sunday afternoon. There's the CME gap right there. Right.
And this is this support line here. So the bottom line on this one, if you're going to go into a long, you don't want to do more than 8x leverage, in my opinion, so that if you get into it, we start trading sideways and it doesn't go up away from your entry point. If it comes back down, and it might just come back down really quickly and wick up, you've got room to move for your stop losses. That's also one strategy. But let's just hone in here, because we have a bear flag. We've got patterns within patterns that haven't played out. We had on the 1 hourly, we had this head and shoulders. We broke out and we got rejected off of the 2,000 point, just above that. So we never fulfilled it down here at 1974. We didn't reach its target, right? I'm not quite sure what that is. So let me just take that out so you can see. We never reached that target. Instead, we faked out, came back up, created a flagpole, and now we've got this potential break to the upside, which is really weird. I'm sure that's not going to happen, because this rising wedge that we're in breaks to the downside more often than it breaks to the upside. So it's more likely that we'll just keep trading and at least get to 2,230 before potentially coming back down to that CME gap. If we go into the 1 hour, let's see what's going on in the 1 hour, see if you could enter this. If it was me, I would be waiting to see if we're going to come back down a little bit lower and enter at the bottom. Generally speaking, if you're entering along, you want to enter it above the support line here, not in the middle of the pattern, and certainly not up near resistance. So let's bring Ichimoku in. Ichimoku has a really nice trajectory of going up, but we do have a flattening out on the cloud right here. And often I've noticed whenever we flatten out on the cloud, we can see downward price action. This doesn't mean the price is just going to go up and up and up and up. That is not what that means. But generally speaking, we have flow to the upside. right? But again, look at the RSI, overbought on the 1 hour, a little overbought on the 4 hour, but a little bit of room to go, quite a bit of room to go on the daily, right? So with Ethereum, I have seen Ethereum trade at the top of the RSI for 6 days in a row. So you don't want to be placing a short here because of the RSI. You need other indicators telling you that a short is imminent. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the Ichimoku so we can have a look at the 4 EMA, and we've got a long here. Look at this: blue, green, yellow, red. Right? This was the time to enter the long at around 20,044 because that's when it crossed over and we had the right order. And we're still going up, and this is an indication that we're still going up. On the 1 hour, we've got the CM Williams VIX fix, which was showing us that we've got upward price action, but we're in the process of creating a formation of a pattern, potentially the same as Bitcoin. So I think we need at least another hour, if not 2 or 3 hour candles to go. Are we coming down? In which case, if we bounce off of this line here, you could get the green candle on the way back up if the RSI's got a bit more room to move, and then ride it up to the top here, and then, you know, keep it open if you want to, moving your stop loss into profit, because remember, we've got that CME gap that's hanging over our heads, and ride it all the way up to the top at 22,400. Make sense, guys?
Yeah, that could very easily be a small Bart Simpson within the much bigger pattern, just taking us back down to the lower support line of the channel. So
yeah. So at the moment though, we've been respecting this line here. We had a little bit of a fake out, but it only just came back down to here. So which is around about where the CME gap is for Ethereum if we keep going up. So we might actually get here though, Teresa, before the CME opens and before Wednesday, right?
yeah.
So I know that people don't want to miss out on that trade, which is why I'm saying if you see us come back down to the pattern on this wedge, come down into the 1 minute actually, because the 1 minute's going to tell you if there are any surprises ahead of us on the really minute scale to look at the best entry point. It gets a bit dirty when we come down into the 1 minute, and look at this. See, look, we've got some dips. So you have an opportunity in the next 12 minutes to get in on one of these dips where it dips down to. There's a possibility we could come into the cloud or get lower. And once we're dipping right now. Look at that as I'm speaking. How cool is that? So we could go even lower, and as soon as we bounce back up again, oh look, we've got a buy signal. You could get in and just monitor it really closely, as we said, because you've got a resistance point that you could then come down even lower on. So just
the conversion line just crossed the baseline, just crossed the conversion line. So that's what's giving the buy signal right there.
Yeah,
because they're so close together.
They're
but on
so
the
close.
1 minute, those aren't necessarily like the normal. They're not necessarily reliable on the 1 minute. But yeah, that's actually a pretty bullish Ichimoku. So we might not be coming back down to the support line. We might just be going up from here.
Yep. Guys, we're using TradingView. If you're not on TradingView, you should be. So go down and use our link to get over there and be on part of our team. And then if you go to the indicators and you pull in the cracking cryptocurrency Ichimoku cloud, whoopsie daisy, here, and then you come into the settings, you want to come in and you want to hit plot Kumo cloud, plot Tenkin and Kyujin crosses, plot Kumo cloud breakouts, basically all of these here, except for the color bars, and that's going to give you your buy and sell signals. So if it was me,
shout out to Cracking Cryptocurrency for really
awesome.
They've given us one of the best Ichimoku setups that I think any channels have given. So we also recommend their channel. Totally worth watching.
Yeah, really cool. Hey guys, we have way more people watching, getting all this valuable information for free, and they haven't liked us. They haven't press that like button. And when you do that, that actually really helps us out. We're a very new channel. We're a tutorial channel. So we're teaching you, how to put trades in, how to do technical analysis, how to have the right mindset. So lots of valuable content being uploaded every day. We're live streaming every day for the next few weeks, watching that big breakout for you. So we would appreciate your help in letting us know whether or not to keep going by clicking the like button. Because if not a lot of people like us and like what we're doing, then, Teresa and I have very busy businesses. We don't need to be doing this, right? So your energy back really feeds us to go, okay, great, you like what we're doing, we've got good content here, we're helping you, we're going to continue. So if you would like to press that, that would be awesome. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do that. Click bell, hit all, so that you get notified when we go live and when we upload tutorials every single day. If you go over to our channel, you will see we have some playlists here. Bybit tutorials that Teresa has done. We're starting to upload TradingView tutorials, FEMIX. We're doing Primex BT soon. There's all of our live streams. Every live stream we do, we don't just do price analysis. We actually teach you how to trade. So you want to be looking at those. And also we do some stuff on Bitcoin, altcoins, DeFi, NFTs. We interview some of the top YouTubers so far. We've done Da Vinci J, Jeroen von Langer, and we're going to have MMCrypto coming up. We've done Marzel Money, Crypto Love, Digital Asset News, and we really extract from them strategies, because we're really big on strategies. Trading Champions is all about strategies. So just have a really good explore, because if you go through all of these videos, by the time you've gone through all of these videos, you would have got the value of about a $3,000 course for free in trading, in learning technical analysis. And I kid you not, right? So I think that's worth a like, and I definitely think it's worth a subscribe.
Yes, and a huge thank you to those of you who've been making donations to the channel, because those go straight into our infrastructure fund. We actually have road paving happening next week, fingers crossed, if everything goes well with the municipality. That makes a huge difference to the economy down here. So like those of you who've been supporting the channel by using the affiliate links and making donations, we really appreciate it. And our the neighbors and the local residents really wanted us to say thank you too. So thank you from the bottom of our heart for that.
Yeah. And there's a you can buy us a coffee as well. So all of the links for everything we're doing is below. And of course, you want to get your $400 off your early bird ticket for the 3 days of workshops with some of the top YouTube crypto traders on the planet. Okay, cool. Let's do XRP. I love XRP. I'm really protecting my XRP at the moment, because I don't like losing any XRP. It hurts, because if you look at the fact that XRP could be $10, once this whole SEC thing is over, which looks like, that could be happening sooner rather than later. And all of the utility that XRP has and the amazing projects that they've got coming up. There are some people saying that we could do something stupid, crazy, euphoric once that SEC lawsuit is done and go to $100. So you don't want to lose one XRP, because today you lose one XRP and it's 60 cents. But by the end of the year or April next year, when we may see the bull run top out, maybe sooner, that's $100 that you lost. And if you lose 20 XRP, what is that, $2,000 or whatever,
exactly.
Whatever the number is. So you want to protect your XRP, which is why I've been waiting for this breakout. XRP on the daily looking quite bullish. Here is the breakout. The breakout has happened, and we are about this descending channel breaks to the upside more often than it breaks to the downside, which we've broken out very clearly on the daily, which is very, very bullish. And the target for this is 73 cents. There is a target here of, if we can call this a descending triangle, which you actually wouldn't, because we've got all this white space and not enough candles. However, we have a clear line here of support, right, at 50 cents. If we were to use that, I just put it in there just in case I can milk this trade for a little bit more, get it, take 75% out at 73. If we recapitulate, we'll probably come back down here to 65 cents, maybe a little higher, bounce back up, and I'm still in that trade. I can add to it, and then get some more out of this trade and ride it up to 81 cents and keep going up. So let's have a look at the 4 hourly and on the 4 hourly, we've broken out, come back, confirmed. This is what Teresa was saying. When you want a confirmation of a breakout, you want to confirm that it's going to, by an actual touch of that previous resistance line, now flip support. And we've come into a bull flag. So there is a potential long coming up there with a target of 63.18, which is good if we get there, because 62 cents, you can see here, we've been rejected a number of times. That's a significant support line right there. So when the way you trade bull flags is you trade the breakout. You want it to, conservatively speaking, you want it to break out, come back down, test support, and then come in at around, I would say 63. I would make it 63 cents to get above 62 cents as a resistance line. You will see here we did that, right? We came up, came back down, retested support, came back up. The time to enter the long would have been right here, according to that theory. And then you would have traded sideways for a little bit. So let's go down into, let's pull in the 4MA, and you'll see that it's just flipped bullish about 8 hours ago. See this? Blue at the top, green, yellow, red right there. So the time to have entered that trade is 60 cents, 62.1 or something like that, according to that trading strategy. And which would have been the bottom of this here. We could still come back down to that price in the next few hours. So now if you want to enter, you want to start niching down into smaller time frames and double check them. And we're still looking bullish here, but we've come back down to test this as support. See, look at that. If we get a green candle bounce up here, and then we get up a bottom of a green candle at around, to be on the safe side, I would call it 63 cents. That would be a good time to enter the long, to ride it up to 73 cents and then possibly beyond there. And then what I would do is I would bring in the Ichimoku just to confirm that we are continuing with bullish ascension, which we are. We have some flow here. This is what I was talking about. When we start seeing a dip and then a straightening out on the Ichimoku, we could see further price action. So I'd be waiting to see, are we going to come back down here when you could enter there when we bounce off of that, or enter when we bounce off of it up here. If you are going to enter, like if we drop and you do enter at the bottom of the bull flag, which technically speaking is really risky, but with XRP taking off like it does, sometimes you've got to take that little risk. You definitely want to move your stop loss up into profit as we hit 61.5, because once we start hitting 62, we're finding resistance there, and you don't want to, turn a winning trade into a losing one. Then let's come down to the 1 minute and see what's going to go on in the 1 minute. Yeah, see, look, we're about to, in the 1 minute, we're clinging on to this here. We could trade sideways a little bit, but this is concerning. We're crossing over, so we could see a little bit. I'd be waiting. Teresa, what would you say on this trade? You'd be waiting for the actual breakout to the upside or the downside?
I'd be waiting on that one.
Yeah. Wait for it to hit here or clear there.
Or just put a buy order in at the bottom of the support, because I think there's some odds it's coming back down to that level.
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
that's just a personal trading style. The main thing I would say though is develop your trading style and stick with it. If you're trading, if you're changing how you trade all the time, you're increasing your risk significantly.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're using the 4 EMA, we did have a buy signal down here at 62.4, so we could come back down there. And that's a second opportunity for you to enter. If you've got your Ichimoku cloud on, you go down to the 1 minute and you've got green skies ahead, in which case we don't, we have red skies ahead, then, you could get in at a better lower entry. So that's a waiting game as well. But generally speaking, I would say the conclusion is we're looking pretty bullish. Yeah. We might see a correction, but at the moment, I would say the lower price points, we would need to get down to at least 31,000 again to have those lower price points on the table again. And then obviously if we break down below 28,800, which is a support line for Bitcoin, there it is there, 28,800. We break below that for several candles, then we could go down. And if we go down with Bitcoin, it's going to take the entire market with it usually, right?
Yeah.
So that's that. Has anybody got any other coins you want us to look at? Because our internet's a bit wobbly. More likes would be great, guys. This is the biggest. We've got so many people watching playbacks, Teresa. This is the biggest one we've done.
Thank you, guys.
Like this is the biggest live stream we've done. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. We're going to go live again tomorrow at 10:30 to set up the CME, because the CME opens tomorrow, and we'll see where we are with that price range to get an idea of, are we going to continue this pump that we're in right now? Well, it's not a pump, it's just a slow incremental rise to upwards, or are we in danger? And we'll have a look at all the indicators to see if we're in danger of coming back down, or if this is going to be the 5% of the time when we don't close the CME gap. So just to finish off, we'd love to see you for 3 days workshops online with some of the top crypto traders, tax people going offshore to minimize your tax burden, and also I'm doing some stuff on managing your emotions and your mindset according to the Fibonacci of emotions, which is going to be so cool. Teresa's going to do some great stuff. What are you going to do with all your Bitcoin? And are you going to be one of the millionaires, multimillionaires, or billionaires in the potential super cycle that will be starting around about, potentially speaking, the time we go into the workshop? So it's going to be 3 days of massive amounts of learning for you, and coming away with strategies, coming away with a written plan of what you're going to do to maximize this super cycle so that you're making the most of it. And not only that, you're doing it in a way that the tax man isn't going to take most of it away from you. That's really important, right?
Yeah, if you can pay less tax, that's like a 30% return on investment. Right there.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, well, depending on what country you're in, it could be more.
Yeah.
Link for that is below, theconsciouscryptoevent.com/2021 to get that early bird pricing, which is $400 off. There's a VIP ticket there as well, where you get $700 worth of free stuff for an extra $140, something like that. Very, very reasonable tickets. Don't drag your feet on that, because the tickets are selling daily. We've got really good sales on that. And as soon as we reach the number of people that we can have on the Zoom call, you won't be able to be on, you won't be able to get a ticket, which means you won't be able to talk to MMCrypto or DaVinci J15 or Marzel Money or, Jeroen van Lange from the Blockchain Today, or any of the other people that we've got, because we're going to do Q&As. You're going to have, if you're open to it, some of you will be able to have your portfolio looked at and help you. You're going to get everything you need to maximize this super cycle. So you absolutely want to get your ticket today to make sure that you're in and you're locking in that cheap price. Other than that, Teresa, I think it's time to say goodbye. We've got to unpack from being at the farmer's market. I've got vegetables sitting in my trolley that I've got to go into the fridge.
Yeah. So, as always, until next time, trade consciously. Take care, everyone.